Rob, it's snack time.
Oh, it's my favorite time of the week.
It is mine too. Every time we record, I have at least a week afterwards where I have snacks on my mind. And usually, we record on Tuesdays, and so it's usually I'm going to the grocery store at some point in the next day or two, pick up a few things. And so I'm always on the lookout for something good. And this time I ran across since I was thinking about, those dill flavored almonds that we talked about last time, I believe it was last time, came across the Kettle brand Crinkle Cut dill pickle chips, potato chips. It says bolder and crunchier on the bag. And they're a great combination of greens. And these chips were actually fantastic. I've decided that I am a very big fan of dill snacks, any kind of dill snacks now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, I'm not sure I've really had much that's just pickle flavored, but you said this before recording, but like the branding is just really good on this packet.
Yeah, it's better than most of theirs. They have a whole bunch. This brand has a lot of different flavored chips. They even have like Himalayan salt, pink salt, which I have not tried those yet. Maybe I'll bring those to the show next time. But I really like the dill pickle typography. It's a nice all caps, very clean, kind of retro almost font that reminds me of like maybe, I don't know, the 50s or something. So I kind of like it.
Yeah, we get Kettle brand here, but we don't get anything fancy like this. Like, as far as I'm aware, they don't have any sort of like offshoot brands or, because this is Crinkle Cut but spelt with a K, because so it's kettle chip. Yeah, over here we just get the, they're sort of on the fancier end of the crisps. So we get, it's like, it will be, fancy sea salt and some kind of brand of vinegar that I've never heard of. But it's, it's still pretty much just salt and vinegar, cheese and onion, ready salted, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, anyway, these are very good. If you see them out there, I would recommend getting them. They are very good with the beverage. They're, very salty, very, very tart, dill, pickly flavoring. So that's good. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you, Rob, today is I had one of those moments where I thought 20 years ago, me would never have imagined that I would be sitting outside, working, writing, and watching a Zoom call where the Unicode Consortium was explaining how emoji are approved. It was delightful. I was out on a summer day, sitting in the back of my coffee shop, watching a Zoom while I ate a sandwich from a place nearby, and I was living the good life, I guess. I didn't actually stay on this call about the Unicode Consortium very long because I was just doing it. First, it wasn't very interesting. I kind of know what the process is already from our friend Jeremy Burge from Emojipedia and explaining it over the years. But I happened to have a sandwich. I had my laptop. I really couldn't do anything with I couldn't type. So I thought, I'll join this Zoom call from that Adobe's throwing to promote emoji for some reason. And I watched for about 15 minutes, and that was my break for the day.
Are emojis having a sort of promotion problem? Like,
No,
do they need promoting?
I think that Adobe is a big player on the Unicode Consortium, from what I understand, because I know Jeremy used to go, and a lot of the meetings would be Adobe at Adobe in San Jose occasionally. So I know they play a fairly big role in it, and I have heard from their PR from time to time, touting various fun facts about emoji. And this was, this kind of kicked off with an explanation about how people use the fire emoji for things other than fire, like spicy or sexy or, whatever. And
sure.
It's like, all right, I live on the internet. You don't have to explain to me that there are multiple uses for different emoji and which ones are popular and which ones aren't.
Wait till you hear about what people do with the peach.
I know they didn't go, when they started telling me how the fire emoji was sexy. I was like, well, you should move straight to the eggplant and the peach, and let's really get into this. but no, we didn't go there. But anyway, that's that.
There we go. I'm going to try and find a snack in the next 2 weeks, because you've bought the last two, so I'm going to see if I can find something interesting on my...
Okay, good.
I was going to say on my travels, but I don't go very don't go many places, but I'm sure I can find something.
Your travel's going to be down to the local supermarket. That's okay. Many days, that's all my travels are.
I'm sure I can find something.
All right, you stop by the corner convenience store and find something weird. There's always something weird lurking in all the shops around everybody's town. So, yeah, let's get weird with snacks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rob, we are going to promote a little something on the show now that Ruminate is part of Mac Stories. I want to tell everybody about Club Mac Stories because there are probably some people out there who listen to the show who came to Ruminate through you or through me, but independent of Mac Stories. And one of the things we do is something called Club Mac Stories, which is a subscription club that allows you to get even more of what we do at Mac Stories. There's like 3 tiers. You can get in for as cheap as $5, and you get lots of email newsletters, which can also be accessed from a website, which is a weekly newsletter and a monthly newsletter. They've got all kinds of other perks, though, at other tiers, like a Discord membership where you can come and chat with a lot of people about apps and other Apple-related and tech-related topics. App Stories Plus, my show with Federico Vitici, is also part of one of the tiers of Club Mac Stories, too. So I am going to leave it at that for now. You'll probably hear me mention this again, but I would encourage people, if they are interested at all, they can go and learn more at plus.club. That's really the best URL we could get was plus.club because it's very easy to go there and you can see all 3 of the plans with all the different features all lined up with all the prices. And so you know what you're getting. And if anybody has any questions, ping me and I'll answer them because I like to answer things from readers and listeners.
No, absolutely. I will say, just to add on to this before we move on, the Discord is so good for technical problems. Because
it really is. There's so many engineers and developers and
that's usually my first stop when I have a problem with my phone, with my computer, whatever. Pop in there, usually an answer almost straight away.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing that way. All right, Rob, I know that you got a new mechanical keyboard and I want to hear all about it because this is a keyboard. Actually, I was very surprised that you got it because I actually almost got it myself, but I didn't. And I'd like to hear what it's like so I can at least enjoy it vicariously.
I mean, if you want to hear it, I can do a bit of listen to that.
Oh, boy.
So this is the 8-bit Do, 8-bit Do. I don't know how you say that name.
I always say 8-bit Do, but I don't know if that's right either. They make game controllers primarily.
Right, which I'm sure you have at least a couple of, and I've got 1 or 2 hanging around somewhere.
Yep.
And I don't actually know when this came out. Maybe about a year ago, I think.
I think you're right. It's been a little while.
And they have 2 models, so it's a mechanical keyboard, and there's one which is themed like the NES, and then one that's themed like the Famicom.
Yep.
And they're about $100, something like that. And you've got this little volume knob at the top, which is really nice. Obviously, it's got custom keycaps with a specific font to sort of match the theme, depending on whichever one you've got. And then it comes with these 2 huge buttons. They call them the super buttons, and you can map those to whatever you want. So you just map them to a keyboard shortcut or something like that. So like one of mine will play pause Apple Music. So this is, which is slightly different to the normal play pause button because it won't get overtaken by YouTube or anything else that you've got open in the browser.
Right. Because it's like the one on the Apple keyboard that's dedicated to music as opposed to just playing. Isn't that? Maybe I'm mistaking how that works.
Yeah, no. Anyway. So the one on the Apple keyboard, if you've got YouTube open in Safari and you press play pause,
that's true.
It will do. Whereas this is running. How is this even running? I think through Alfred. I think I set it up, and then I'm using Apple scripts to specifically call Apple Music so that play pauses. So even if I'm watching a video or something, I can still pause the music really easily. So the second button I'm not doing anything with right now. They're just kind of on my desk. But yeah, it was one of these things I had on my Amazon wishlist for a long time. I was like, I don't really need a new keyboard. It's perfectly fine. I certainly don't need to get into mechanical keyboards because that is an expensive hobby.
It is.
And so what did I do? I immediately spent £12 on a gold and silver Mario ? Escape key.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Well, you know what? That's to me, the number one thing that I appreciate about the mechanical keyboard industry is that they make it so opaque. So that if you go, you immediately say, oh, that's a good looking keyboard. You go look at it, and it's got like 10 varieties of different switches and different keycaps. And I look at it, and I have complete indecision, and it prevents me from ever buying anything. And actually, I kind of appreciate it because I don't need another expensive hobby. I've got plenty of those already.
Yeah, I mean, there's a keyboards channel in the Relay Discord, and yeah, those guys are really going hard on buying a lot of stuff, and I had
it can be very expensive. Yeah, I mean, some of those keycaps. I mean, the thing is that it's one of those hobbies where you're like, oh, well, it's only X, so many pounds or dollars for a particular keycap. But then you realize how many keys there are on a keyboard, and it gets very expensive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when I found that Mario ? One, I probably had £200 worth of keycaps, in my basket that I was sort of looking at and deciding if I wanted. Like it's really easy to spend a lot of money on this hobby. So I'm kind of avoiding it. Like I'm not going to suddenly buy another keyboard. I don't really need one. But this one in particular, I really liked. And they actually have a Commodore 64 version coming out.
I saw that
at the end of the year, which not only comes with the super buttons, but you also get a little joystick with it as well.
That's nice.
Which I'm hoping they sell that separately so that I can buy that as well.
That would be very cool. That would be very cool. There's a whole new category. Well, I don't know if it's new, but new to me that I've discovered of these mechanical keyboards that are low profile ones that are approaching the nice svelte Apple keyboard. I'm sure that I'm offending the mechanical keyboard crowd by saying that I like the Apple Magic Keyboard, but I really like the shallow throw and the easy pressing of the buttons because I type a lot. And there's these low profile ones, and there's like a company called Work Louder who did a big Kickstarter, I think it was, to fund a keyboard that is now just starting to come out, I believe, where it has things like your volume knob and some other knobs that can be programmed and a little LCD screen in it. And they're very designery looking, and I like them. I think they look really cool, but they're like $400. And I thought,
I know exactly the one you're talking about because I got an advert for it yesterday.
They're all over social media. Yeah.
And it's $450 for that keyboard. And don't get me wrong, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But I'm really not in the business of spending that kind of money on a keyboard.
No, I'm not either. And I'm also very leery of companies. I mean, I have nothing against this company, but I mean, it is a very precision piece of electronics that has not been manufactured yet. And I just as soon, if I were to get it, I think I'd like to have other people be the first ones to buy it.
Yeah, definitely.
To make sure it works.
Yeah, whereas with this 8-bit Do one, like they've been making hardware for 8-10 years or something.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent sized company, and they've got a lot of experience making game controllers and other accessories. So, I've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, but I've been really enjoying typing on it, and I like the little volume knob. That's like I didn't need it. There's nothing wrong with buttons, but it's a nice touch.
My Loop Deck Live or whatever it's called has one of those where I can, and I've done that same thing you did, where you'd use the Apple Music incremental volume control left and right to kind of go up and down with the volume, and then I can press it for play pause, which is pretty nice. It is nice to have that. I kind of blow hot and cold on these things like this, like the Stream Deck and the Loop Deck, because it's like, on the one hand, I find them really handy when I'm at my desk, but then I miss them when I'm on my laptop and not, and I kind of feel like I'd rather have all my tools be on all my Macs and not have to rely on external hardware too much. But it's a nice addition. Speaking of 8-bit Do, if you ever are, I don't know if you've ever looked at this one, but if you get their Ultimate controller, that's probably, I think, my absolute favorite controller they've ever done. They have a couple of different models of it that are compatible with different systems, because they can do Bluetooth, they can do like a 2.4 gigahertz connection with a dongle. They've got different things different versions of it that work with, PC and Switch and Mac and stuff like that. And it's very much, It's got a charging dock, and it has the feel very much of like like an Xbox controller, I would say. Quite nice, and a nice white color I like too. So I don't know.
Yeah,
That's my.
This looks really nice, and it's like it's pretty much the same price as like a DualSense or something. So that's with the charging dock as well.
Yeah, it's not super. It's not super expensive. It's also not. It's not like a capital G gamer controller either. It's not like one of those high end ones that cost like hundreds of dollars with removable thumbsticks and all that stuff. But it is really solidly built, works really well, and I've enjoyed having one. So that's my recommendation.
Well, I know you've got me something else on my Amazon wish list that I might or might not buy.
Yeah, and the thing about 8-Bit Do too is a lot of their stuff goes on sale periodically. So that's a good one to kind of keep an eye on, with Camel or whatever you use to see when there are price drops, because those kind of accessories do tend to $10-$20 off here and there. So
absolutely. I mean, that's what I got with the keyboard. I think I paid 85 instead of 100. So, and that was pretty much the standard price on Amazon at the moment, which is really nice.
All right, so you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to make yet another recommendation for you, Rob, of a free app that's coming out. I think it came out today as we speak, which is Drop Scout. I am going to write about this, I think. Drop Scout is a free app that works just like Camel, but it's privacy oriented. It doesn't actually you don't even sign in with your Amazon account, I don't think. I think you just do searches, add items to it, and then it tracks the prices and gives you alerts when things go down in price.
Very nice. Yeah, no, you have to send me a link to that. That sounds really good.
I will. It is quite good. And let me just look at something really quick. If I have to... Oh, you know what? You do actually log into... Because you can monitor your wish list is what it is. You can do that, or you can add one-off things. So, so you can log into it. But they don't store your credentials, I don't believe, on their servers or anything like that. You just log in locally, it pulls in the items, and then it gives you push notifications when prices change. They just kind of ping the API periodically or something.
Amazing. No, I love that.
Yeah. Okay, Rob, you know what we need to do for our last round of the show is talk about EchoFeed, which is your new product that you just launched. Like, I don't even know. It was like less than a week ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was Friday night. And to set the scene before we talk about the actual thing itself, I was getting close to launching it, and then circumstances meant I had a sort of free Friday night to myself, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to launch it now. So I ended up launching it, staying up way too late, refreshing dashboards and watching sign-ups and stuff like that.
That's always fun.
Yeah, so I gave myself a fun Friday night, that's for sure.
Yeah, very nice. Well, all right, so... I think we've mentioned it on the show maybe in passing before, but what does EchoFeed do?
Yeah, so it's essentially, it takes reads your RSS feeds, and then any new posts, it sends them out to various different services. Mastodon, Microblog, Blue Sky are the big three social networks. And then it also has GitHub support, Discord, webhooks. You can send web mentions for your articles, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. And then it also has just a generic webhook if you want to. For example, like I trigger a rebuild of my website when certain things happen.
Interesting. All right, so I want to kind of like drill down, as they say in the tech world, on what exactly is going on. So, for instance, a use case for this would be someone has a blog. They post something to their blog, regardless of whatever platform it has. Some new article hits their RSS feed, and EchoFeed takes that new item and then publishes it in multiple different places all at once.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's really cool, because so at its core it's cross posting, whether that's social or some of these other services that you mentioned.
Absolutely, yeah. I think because there's a bunch of services. I think MasterFeed is one of the big ones, where you just give it an RSS feed and it will just post it out to Mastodon, but you don't get any you can't customize that. So you can't. It's always just going to send the title and the link.
Right.
What I've done with EchoFeed is you can, any of the data that's in the RSS feed, you can include that. So if you've got a summary, if you've got tags, for example, in a JSON feed, you can include images. So I can scan the content, find any images, and include those in the cross post as well.
That's really cool. So like your tags will become hashtags and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
I like it. So how do you deal with like different post lengths for things like Mastodon and Blue Sky, for instance? I assume that they have different post lengths. I haven't really looked. I'm not sure about Blue Sky, but I know Mastodon is like, I don't know, 100 and something characters or whatever.
Yeah, so Mastodon is 500, I think. And
500. Right.
And then Blue Sky is 300. But where this gets difficult is for Mastodon, a link, no matter how long a link is, always takes up 23 characters. So that's just the way they count it, because obviously they kind of shorten it in the UI, so you don't always see the whole thing.
Right. So is that like a redirect is what they're doing of some kind? How does that work?
So it's just the way they render it to you when you're looking at it. So you know, the link, the underlying link that you're clicking is still the original link. They're not redirecting.
I actually don't like that about Mastodon, because I think you should be able to see the whole URL a little easier because you never know what you're clicking on the internet. But hey, all right. So, but that's kind of beside the point. So how do you deal with like those different links?
Yeah. So, because in theory, what you can do, you know, with these variables that you can grab out the feeds, you could say, oh, I want the title, the link, and the summary.
Right.
But what I do is once I've, you know, replaced all the variables and stuff, if that's over 500 characters, I will then try and truncate the text if I can. So if somebody's included the link variable, I'm like, okay, so they definitely want the link there. So I'll try and truncate whatever summary is there. If for whatever reason I can't do that, it then just posts the title and link. So essentially that's like the fallback. And I do the same thing for Blue Sky. It's exactly the same, but obviously with a 300, I think it is, limit.
Nice.
I'm not happy with Blue Sky today, if I'm honest. They have their image limit is less than a megabyte. You cannot upload it.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know.
How are people how are they crunching them on their end? Because how do you even? I think all iPhone images are bigger than a megabyte.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The thing is, I didn't use Blue Sky, so I wasn't familiar with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least on their API, it has to be less than a megabyte. So then I have to take the image. If somebody wants to cross-post the images that are included in the post, I have to take them, and then I reduce them by a little bit, and then I check the size, and then I reduce it again until I get below a megabyte, and then I can upload them.
Oh God! Are you using like a URL compression service for that, or what are you using for that?
No, I'm using ImageMagick, which is a PHP library on my server.
Yeah, are you just shrinking the size of it, or are you changing like the resolution? Or...
Yeah, I'm changing the resolution because that seems to be you can try and do compression, but it's a lot harder and a lot more intensive potentially to do that, and you might end up with a worse looking image. Whereas I think if you're posting something to like Mastodon or Blue Sky, you're kind of like, you know, you're not going to get the full res image there anyway, regardless.
Right. Interesting. How about Threads? Are you going to do Threads when their API comes out?
Yeah, absolutely. I've signed up for their. They had a form that was like, "Oh, sign up and we'll tell you what the."
I did too.
What the API docs are. It seems like it's going to be relatively easy because it's Instagram login, which is already that's already a known thing. You know, we've had Instagram login for a long time, so that should be relatively easy to put together. And, you know, I'm going to assume it's going to be relatively easy to just post text and images. Like, I can't imagine that being particularly difficult.
Right. And I suppose it would be really hard for you to try to do something like support, for instance, Instagram itself, because it's the inverse of what you're doing. You're doing a text-based thing with text and link based thing with images attached, as opposed to an image based thing with maybe some extra text.
I'm not even sure. Can you even post to Instagram via the API? I'm not sure if that's even possible.
I don't even know if you can. No, I don't even know if you can. I don't. I'm trying to think. I think Buffer allows. I think some of those services like Buffer allow you to post to Instagram. So maybe there's some kind of API, or maybe they have a special deal with them or something.
I bet they're paying a lot of money for that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, that is the problem with a lot of this stuff. So what's the use case with GitHub? You mentioned that you are using it to to rebuild your site.
Yeah, so the core of EchoFeed, like when I started building it, it was like you may remember I had a product called Echo before, which was just a bunch of scripts, and you configured it with JSON. It wasn't very user friendly, and you kind of needed a server to run it yourself. So it worked, but it was kind of difficult, and I had to help a lot of people with the JSON and stuff like that. And I thought, I think this can be like a better thing where you can sign up. But when I was building it, what I wanted to be able to do was replace my use case of Echo with EchoFeed, and I had quite a lot of stuff, and GitHub is one of them. So because my site is built on 11t, which is just a bunch of markdown files in GitHub,
right?
Depending on a bunch of different services, I will write new files to GitHub. So Letterboxd is a good example. When I review a movie on Letterboxd, not that I watch a lot of movies anymore, but when I do, it will then take all that data, the title, the date, if I do any ratings or any reviews, that kind of thing, and format that to a markdown file on GitHub, which will then build my site. Right. And then once my site builds, the movie
RSS.
The movie RSS feed then comes back into EchoFeed, which can then post it to Mastodon.
Nice, I like that. Oh, that's really good. I like that automation. That's very good workflow. How about webhooks? Like, is that kind of the way of just kind of expanding this even further for people who have like one-off use cases? Like maybe you have a Slack bot and you want to post your articles to your Slack bot so people can see what's going on there?
Yeah, so I feel like at least at the moment, like the webhooks are almost like we don't support what you want, EchoFeed doesn't support what you want, but I can send you all the data if you've got a server that can receive a webhook, and you can do something with that data. So Discord was a good example. I've actually added Discord support in the last couple of days, but somebody was using the webhook option to send posts to their Discord. Slack would be another example. To be honest, I should probably just add Slack as a service.
Actually, I see that you have a Discord logo on here now. Last time I looked at your feed, you did not have that.
Yeah, it's been a busy few evenings, just fixing up a lot of the bugs and stuff like that. But yeah, webhooks is more of a sort of just a final. Oh, there's no other way for me to do what I need to do.
Right, it's catch-all for stuff.
Exactly.
Right. So, all right, now we're going to tell people what this costs. And you have a free version and you have a $25 a year version, but you've also got a discount if somebody is part of the omg.lol community. And on the free one, you say that it's one echo fetched every 15 minutes. And an echo is that a single post or is that a single, explain what that means.
Yeah, this is maybe probably the most confusing part of the site. Yeah, so an echo is you've got your RSS feed and you've got a service you post to. So those two things together, that's an echo. So
I get it.
On the free one, and when I was sort of deciding on that, because pricing is kind of hard, and
tell me about it. Been there,
right? And I was thinking, okay, like who's going to use it in the free tier? Like, how can I make it useful, but also still, not bankrupt myself essentially by, and I figured like if you've just got a blog that you post to every few days, maybe every week, something like that, you can wait 15 minutes. Like that's kind of fine.
Right.
Like, it reduces load on the server, but you can still cross post to Mastodon or wherever else. And yeah, then when you get to the pro tier, I just pick names out of the air pretty much. You can then have as many echoes as you want. So you can have loads of feeds and go into loads of different services, formatted however you want. And those are all fetched every 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, whether it includes like multiple sources as well as multiple endpoints, and it sounds like it does.
Yeah, so if all I was doing was the basic thing, which would be the title and the link, I think the service would be very different, because you could just have one feed and say, I want to post it to these 5 different things.
Right.
But because there's all the customization with variables and things like that, like some places people want to post with HTML or with Markdown.
Right.
So
right,
Microblog
right.
is a good example of that. GitHub, again, you can, Markdown or HTML. But with Blue Sky and Mastodon, you need that it's just normal text. They don't support any kind of rich text. So because there's the customization there, it's a lot harder to just say, oh, one thing goes to all these places, because I'd have to do all of that logic myself, and I'd be sort of guessing what people would want, and not everybody wants the same things.
Oh, all right. That's really smart. Yeah. So you allow people to customize this based on the endpoint that they're going to hit with their RSS feed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you had, if you've got one feed, your main blog, whatever, and you want to send images to Mastodon but not to Blue Sky, you can do that, because they're separately configurable.
Nice. Oh, I like that. That's really cool. I'm going to have to play with this. I haven't played with it yet. So yes, so here's all the details, since I'm going to let everybody know. You can do the free thing to just kind of try it out. That's one echo that Rob just explained, that's fetched every 15 minutes, which is more than enough if you've got like an individual blog and you're only concerned with posting, to one place like Mastodon or micro.blog or whatever. And the pro version is $25 a year, and it is unlimited echoes, and it's fetched every 2 minutes. Again, I think that's more than enough in terms of frequency as well. And then if you are on omg.lol, you can do the whole thing for $20 a year instead of $25. So that's a pretty nice deal.
Yeah, and that's ongoing as well. That's not just for the first year. Like when you renew, I will apply that discount again if you're an active member.
Okay, very nice. Very cool. Well, you've got looks like you've got a lot of people posting, a lot of signups already. That's exciting.
Yeah, we're creeping up towards nearly 500 posts sent. We're at 481 as of recording right now. Maybe it'll be at 500 by the time the show goes out.
Oh, very nice. All right. Well, congratulations on getting that launched. I bet that was a fun Friday evening.
It was certainly something. I feel like I had sort of 10 or 12 people who were beta testing it, like for about a week or so. And they found loads of, edge cases and interesting bugs or things they wanted. But of course, as soon as you get a few more than that, it was immediately obvious where these other issues were going to come from. So there was a lot of things to fix, but it seems to have settled out a bit now. I think, I've finally got the Blue Sky stuff working, because their API is very difficult to work with.
Interesting, yeah.
So, but yeah, it's all going really well, so.
All right, very good. Well, good luck, and we'll check in at another point down the road and see how it's going.
Yeah, brilliant. All right.
Talk to you later, Rob.
All right, speak to you later.